Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where today we embark on a profoundly inspiring journey that promises to captivate your hearts and minds with every passing moment. I'm thrilled to unveil a story of unwavering resilience, a powerful narrative that not only inspires, but also lays the foundation for my next ambitious project here on this channel. My excitement still lingers from the dream of collaborating with Vice Grip Garage, hoping Derek's masterful touch can breathe new life into my neglected pickup truck, dormant for far too long. Derek's extraordinary talent for reviving forgotten, rusted machines ignites my own passion, and I firmly believe his infectious enthusiasm could transform my dusty vehicle into a triumphant symbol of renewal. But before we delve into the gritty world of wrenches and engines, let us first immerse ourselves in a deeply human tale of perseverance, a story that echoes with the struggle against insurmountable odds. This heartfelt narrative draws inspiration from the remarkable 2006 film *The Pursuit of Happyness*, a true story destined to stir your emotions and awaken your own inner strength. Our story unfolds in the vibrant yet unforgiving streets of 1981 San Francisco, where we meet Chris Gardner, a man of brilliant mind ensnared in a relentless battle for survival. Chris has invested his family's last dwindling savings and every shred of hope into a bulk purchase of portable bone density scanners, an innovative yet bulky and costly medical device. Despite his unwavering belief in its potential to revolutionize healthcare, he toils endlessly to sell these machines, facing skeptical doctors who cling to tradition rather than embrace progress. His tireless efforts, marked by the laborious dragging of heavy scanners from clinic to clinic, yield little success, plunging his fragile family into a suffocating spiral of financial despair. His devoted wife, Linda, labors tirelessly at a dry cleaner, her hands chapped and raw from harsh chemicals, stretching every meager penny to fend off their mounting bills and overdue rent. They cherish their bright, inquisitive 5-year-old son, Christopher Jr., whose innocent laughter and boundless energy shine like a beacon through the dark cloud of their relentless hardships. Chris grapples daily with the mundane yet maddening task of finding parking, a small frustration that compounds with countless others, testing his spirit in a city that offers only obstacles. He endures a barrage of demoralizing rejections from doctors, their dismissive glances and slammed doors fueling his determination to prove the groundbreaking value of his scanners. One transformative day, while pursuing yet another elusive sale, fate intervenes as Chris notices a man gliding into a space with a luxurious red sports car, a stark emblem of the success he yearns for. Driven by curiosity and a desperate hunger for change, he boldly approaches the man, inquiring how he achieved such prosperity, seeking a glimpse into a world beyond his reach. The man casually discloses his role as a successful stockbroker, sparking a bold, almost improbable vision in Chris's mind of fragile yet dazzling hope for a brighter future. Seized by this newfound ambition, Chris resolves to apply for an unpaid internship at Dean Witter Reynolds, a prestigious firm, despite his lack of experience or formal education. His obvious absence of qualifications marks him as an unlikely contender, yet his raw determination and heartfelt passion resonate deeply during the skeptical interviews. At home, the crushing weight of financial strain intensifies, sparking heated arguments with Linda, who grows weary of their unending battles and the uncertainty that looms over them. Their relentless money woes erode their fragile bond, driving a painful wedge between them despite their shared, unconditional love for their precious son, Christopher Jr. One fateful evening, after yet another bitter dispute, Linda reaches her breaking point, her exhaustion and frustration boiling over into a decision to abandon the sinking ship of their marriage. With tears streaming down her face, she packs a small bag, her movements heavy with resignation, and prepares to leave Chris and their son behind in search of her own survival. Chris watches in stunned silence, clutching Christopher tightly, his heart shattering as Linda kisses their son goodbye and walks out into the uncertain night. Left to fend for themselves, Chris vows with fierce determination to shield his son from the harsh realities, promising to carve a path to a better life no matter the cost. They wander the cold, indifferent streets of San Francisco, Chris searching desperately for a cheap motel room, his pockets nearly empty and his spirit tested. The motel rates prove unattainable, forcing them to huddle on a park bench as darkness falls, the chill seeping into their bones and their hope dwindling. Christopher, with innocent curiosity, asks about his mother, and Chris, his voice breaking, gently lies that she's working far away, hiding the painful truth. As night deepens, Chris seeks refuge in a shelter line, but the long wait yields no beds, leaving them exposed to the city's harsh elements once more. With no other option, he leads Christopher to a train station, where they settle into a quiet corner, Chris using his jacket to shield his son from the cold. Christopher drifts into an exhausted sleep, while Chris remains vigilant, his eyes scanning the shadows, determined to protect his boy through the long night. Dawn breaks with a faint light, and Chris, weary but resolute, discovers a free daycare program, a small lifeline in their chaotic world. He enrolls Christopher with a tender smile, leaving him in safe hands before heading to his internship with a flicker of renewed purpose. The towering office of Dean Witter Reynolds looms before him, a daunting challenge, yet Chris steps inside, ready to absorb every lesson with fierce intent. He takes meticulous notes, his mind racing to grasp the complexities of stock trading, surrounded by interns who seem far more polished than he. Despite his exhaustion and hidden fears, Chris practices his pitch in quiet moments, his voice steadying with each repetition, driven by an unyielding will. A supervisor observes his dedication, a glimmer of approval in his eyes, though the road ahead remains fraught with uncertainty and steep challenges. Soft background music, image of Chris and Christopher in the station. Chris steps into the towering offices of Dean Witter Reynolds, his heart pounding with a mixture of determination and trepidation as he faces his first full day of the unpaid internship. The bustling environment overwhelms him, filled with sharply dressed interns and seasoned brokers, their confident voices echoing through the sleek, modern space. He clutches his worn notebook, scribbling furiously to absorb every detail of the complex stock market lessons, his mind racing to keep pace with the rapid-fire information. The other interns, with their polished resumes and college degrees, cast sidelong glances, their subtle smirks hinting at the doubt they harbor about his unconventional background. Undeterred, Chris throws himself into the work, practicing his pitch in the break room, his voice growing steadier with each repetition, fueled by an unshakable resolve. A stern supervisor, Mr. Frakish, observes his dedication, his piercing gaze softening slightly as he notes Chris's relentless effort amidst a sea of more privileged candidates. Yet the day ends with no tangible progress, leaving Chris to trudge back to the train station, his exhaustion weighing heavily as he retrieves Christopher from daycare. The little boy's bright smile lifts his spirits momentarily, but the reality of their homeless plight crashes back as they settle into their cold, dimly lit corner. Chris wraps his jacket around Christopher, whispering reassurances as the boy drifts to sleep, while he battles the gnawing hunger and fatigue threatening to overwhelm him. The next morning, he rises before dawn, his body aching, but his will unbroken, determined to make the most of every second at the internship to secure their future. He drops Christopher off at daycare with a forced smile, his heart aching as he leaves his son in the care of strangers, trusting them to keep him safe. At the office, Chris seizes a rare opportunity to shadow a senior broker, absorbing every nuance of a high-stakes phone call with a potential client. His keen observations and quick questions impress the broker, who nods approvingly, a small victory that bolsters Chris's fragile confidence. However, the triumph is short-lived, as a missed bus forces him to sprint through the city, arriving late to pick up Christopher, his panic rising with each step. He finds the daycare locked, Christopher waiting outside, his small face a mixture of confusion and trust, melting Chris's heart as he sweeps him into a relieved embrace. That night, they seek refuge in a shelter, the cramped space filled with the murmurs of other desperate families. Yet Chris feels a flicker of gratitude for a bed. He tucks Christopher into the thin mattress, his son's gentle breathing a soothing balm against the harshness of their surroundings. But the shelter's strict curfew looms, and the next morning, they're turned away, forcing Chris to improvise as he searches for another safe haven. They end up in a public bathroom, the locked door offering a fleeting sense of security as Chris washes Christopher's face with trembling hands. Christopher's innocent question, "Are we safe, Dad?" pierces Chris's soul, prompting a whispered promise that he'll protect him no matter what. The night stretches on, the cold tiles chilling their bones, yet Chris remains vigilant, his mind racing with plans to turn their fortunes around. Dawn brings a new resolve, and Chris hustles Christopher to daycare, his steps quickened by the urgency to excel at the internship and escape this cycle. At work, he tackles a complex trading scenario, his focus razor sharp, earning a rare nod of approval from Mr. Freakish during a team meeting. The praise fuels his drive, but the lingering uncertainty of their housing situation gnaws at him, a constant reminder of the stakes involved. He spends his lunch break studying market trends, his notebook filling with scribbles, determined to outshine his more experienced peers. One afternoon, a chance encounter with a wealthy client offers a glimmer of hope, as Chris delivers an impromptu pitch with surprising eloquence. The client listens intently, intrigued by Chris's passion, though he requests more data, leaving Chris to scramble for the information overnight. That night, back in the train station, he pores over charts by the faint glow of a flashlight, Christopher sleeping beside him, oblivious to the stakes. The next day, armed with fresh data, Chris meets the client again, his presentation polished and persuasive, earning a tentative commitment. This small victory bolsters his spirit, yet the internships end looms, and only one intern will be hired, intensifying the pressure on his shoulders. He redoubles his efforts, staying late to analyze reports, his exhaustion masked by a fierce determination to secure a future for Christopher. The days pour into a relentless cycle of work, daycare runs, and restless nights, each moment a test of his unwavering resolve. Christopher's trust in him, reflected in his bright eyes, becomes Chris's anchor, pushing him to endure the grueling pace. One evening, a kind shelter worker offers them an extra blanket, a small act of kindness that restores a sliver of Chris's faith in humanity. He wraps it around Christopher, grateful for the warmth, as they settle into another uncertain night, his mind racing with strategies for the next day. At the office, Chris's persistence pays off when he correctly predicts a market shift, earning a surprised nod from his supervisor. The recognition lifts his spirits, but the looming decision on the internship hangs over him like a dark cloud. He spends the final minutes of the day reviewing his notes, his hand trembling slightly, knowing the next week could change everything. Back with Christopher, he whispers a prayer for strength, holding his son close as they face another night in the station. The journey ahead remains treacherous, but Chris's resolve hardens, driven by the love that refuses to let him falter. Chris awakens in the dim train station, his body stiff from another restless night, yet his mind buzzes with the urgency of the internship's critical phase. He gently rouses Christopher, whose sleepy eyes reflect a trust that fuels Chris's resolve to conquer the day ahead despite their dire circumstances. With a hurried breakfast of shared crackers, they make their way to the daycare, Chris's steps quickened by the ticking clock of his professional aspirations. At Dean Witter Reynolds, the atmosphere crackles with tension as the internship nears its end, with only one position awaiting the most outstanding candidate. Chris immerses himself in a grueling schedule, analyzing market trends with meticulous care, his notebook a testament to his unyielding dedication. A rival intern, smug and well-connected, challenges him during a group exercise, his condescending tone testing Chris's composure under pressure. With a steady voice, Chris counters with a brilliant analysis, earning a rare murmur of approval from the observing supervisors, a small but vital victory. The day ends with a late meeting, where Mr. Freakish assigns him a complex client portfolio, a daunting task that could define his future. Exhausted but determined, Chris stays behind, poring over the portfolio's details, his mind racing to devise a strategy that will impress. That night, back in the station, he works by flashlight, Christopher sleeping beside him, the boy's soft breaths a quiet anchor in the chaos. A sudden downpour forces them to seek shelter under a bridge, the cold rain soaking their clothes, testing Chris's endurance to its limits. Christopher shivers, and Chris wraps him in the damp jacket, his own teeth chattering as he whispers stories to distract his son from their plight. The next morning, drenched but unbroken, Chris rushes Christopher to daycare, his resolve hardened by the night's ordeal. At the office, he presents his portfolio analysis to Mr. Freakish, his voice steady despite the exhaustion etched into his features. The supervisor nods thoughtfully, impressed by the depth of Chris's insights, though he offers no immediate verdict, leaving Chris on edge. A fellow intern shares a tip about an upcoming client visit, a golden opportunity Chris seizes with fervent preparation over the weekend. He spends the days in the station, studying client profiles, his flashlight dimming as he pushes through the night with unwavering focus. Christopher asks about their home, and Chris, with a heavy heart, promises a real house soon, masking the uncertainty with a brave smile. The client visit arrives, and Chris delivers a passionate pitch, his knowledge and empathy resonating with the wealthy investor. The client agrees to a meeting, a breakthrough that sends a surge of hope through Chris, though the internships and looms closer. That night, a shelter offers them a bed, and Chris collapses into a fitful sleep, his dreams filled with visions of success. The following day, he refines his pitch, practicing in the office bathroom, his reflection showing a man on the brink of transformation. The client meeting exceeds expectations, with Chris's tailored strategy securing a substantial investment, a triumph that echoes through the firm. Mr. Freakish praises his work, hinting at a favorable review, yet the final decision remains a week away, keeping Chris in suspense. He celebrates quietly with Christopher, buying a small treat, their joy a brief respite from the relentless struggle. But the next shelter night brings disappointment, as they're turned away, forcing them back to the station's unforgiving floor. Chris comforts Christopher with tales of heroes, his voice a lifeline as they huddle against the cold. At work, he tackles a sudden market crisis, his quick thinking saving a client's portfolio, earning widespread admiration. The other interns take notice, their earlier disdain replaced by a grudging respect, shifting the office dynamics in his favor. Yet the physical toll mounts, with Chris battling exhaustion, his hands trembling as he reviews late-night reports. A kind janitor offers him coffee, a small gesture that restores his energy for the final push. The week progresses with intense preparation, Chris mentoring a junior intern, showcasing his leadership under pressure. A final client pitch looms, and Chris spends hours perfecting it, his mind a whirlwind of strategies and hope. The presentation stuns the room, with his innovative approach securing another major deal, solidifying his reputation. Mr. Freakish calls him aside, his expression unreadable, hinting at the imminent decision on the internship. Chris returns to Christopher, his heart pounding with anticipation, knowing the next few days will define their fate. They spend a rare calm evening in a shelter, Christopher drawing pictures, a fleeting moment of peace. Chris reflects on his journey, the sacrifices and triumphs, steeling himself for the outcome ahead. The next morning, he heads to work, his steps heavy with the weight of the final judgment. The office hums with expectation as Chris prepares to face the moment that could change everything. Chris steps into the office, his heart racing with anticipation, knowing today could bring the verdict on his internship at Dean Witter Reynolds. The air is thick with tension as other interns exchange nervous glances, each aware that only one will claim the coveted position. Mr. Freakish summons him to a private meeting, his stern expression giving nothing away, leaving Chris to brace for the moment of truth. The supervisor praises his relentless effort and innovative client strategies, his words a lifeline that lifts Chris's spirits from the depths of doubt. With a firm handshake, Mr. Freakish offers him the job, a surge of triumph washing over Chris as he realizes his dream is within reach. He fights back tears, thanking his boss with a voice thick with emotion, the weight of months of struggle finally lifting from his shoulders. Rushing to the daycare, he sweeps Christopher into his arms, sharing the joyous news with a grin that lights up his weary face. They celebrate with a modest meal, the first in weeks, Christopher's laughter a sweet reward for Chris's unwavering perseverance. That night, a shelter bed feels like a palace, and Chris sleeps deeply, his mind at ease for the first time in months. The next day, his first official day as a broker, he arrives with renewed confidence, his suit slightly wrinkled but his spirit soaring. He tackles his initial clients with a polished pitch, his hard-earned knowledge shining through, earning their trust and interest. As senior broker mentors him, sharing trade secrets, a gesture that marks Chris's transition from underdog to valued team member. His first commission arrives, a modest sum that allows him to rent a small apartment, a step toward stability for him and Christopher. They move in with excitement, the tiny space a castle compared to the station, filled with their laughter and newfound hope. Chris buys Christopher a toy, a simple gift that symbolizes their fresh start, watched over by the boy's delighted eyes. At work, he secures another client, his reputation growing as he navigates the market with growing expertise. The office buzzes with his success, colleagues who once doubted him now seeking his advice, a testament to his rapid rise. Yet the memory of their homeless nights lingers, a quiet reminder to stay humble amidst his ascending career. One evening, he calls Linda, hoping to reconnect, but her cold response leaves him with a bittersweet ache. Christopher asks about his mother, and Chris gently explains her absence, promising to build a family again someday. He throws himself into work, earning a significant bonus, which he saves diligently for their future security. The apartment grows cozier with second-hand furniture, a testament to their gradual climb from despair. Chris mentors a new intern, passing on the resilience that carried him through, a cycle of support beginning. A client praises his integrity, leading to a referral that boosts his portfolio, solidifying his standing. He takes Christopher to a park, their first outing, the sun warming their faces as they play together. The boy's joy rekindles Chris's belief in a brighter future, a reward for his tireless efforts. At work, he navigates a market downturn, his steady hand guiding clients through uncertainty. His success earns him a promotion, a corner office a symbol of his hard-won achievements. He invests the earnings wisely, building a nest egg to protect Christopher's future. Christopher starts school, his pride in his father's work evident in his proud smile. Chris reflects on his journey, the pain and triumph shaping him into the man he is becoming. He writes to Linda, offering reconciliation, a tentative olive branch extended with hope. Her reply is cautious, but it opens a door, a chance to heal their fractured past. He plans a visit, imagining a reunion that could restore their family's wholeness. At work, a major deal closes, his commission allowing a larger apartment with a view. Christopher marvels at the city skyline, a symbol of their ascent from the station's shadows. Chris trains a new team, his leadership a beacon for others facing their own struggles. He receives an award for outstanding performance, a public recognition of his journey. The ceremony moves him, tears welling as he thanks Christopher in his speech. With stability secured, Chris looks to the future, his heart full of gratitude and ambition. Chris prepares for his visit to Linda, his heart a mix of hope and nervousness, clutching a letter that outlines his journey and plea for reconciliation. He dresses Christopher in his best clothes, the boys' excitement palpable as they head to the meeting point, a small park bathed in morning light. Linda arrives, her expression guarded, but her eyes soften at the sight of Christopher running to her with open arms. They sit together, the awkward silence broken by Christopher's chatter, a bridge slowly forming between the estranged parents. Chris shares his success, the job, the apartment, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability as he extends an olive branch. Linda listens, her tears a silent acknowledgement of the pain they've endured, and she agrees to try rebuilding their family. They embrace, a tentative reunion sealed with Christopher's delighted hug, marking a new chapter in their fractured lives. Back at work, Chris's reputation soars as he closes a major deal, his innovative approach earning him a standing ovation from the team. The firm promotes him to senior broker, a corner office with a view becoming a symbol of his remarkable ascent. He hires an assistant, delegating tasks to focus on high-stakes clients, his leadership a beacon for the younger brokers. Linda moves in, their apartment filling with her touch, a harmonious blend of past struggles and present joys. Christopher thrives in school, his drawings of their family adorning the walls, a testament to their healing. Chris mentors a struggling intern, sharing the resilience that carried him through, a legacy of support taking root. A client awards him a prestigious contract, his expertise now sought after in the competitive financial world. He invests the earnings in a trust fund for Christopher, securing his son's future with careful planning. The family takes a weekend trip, their first vacation, exploring the coast with laughter and shared memories. Linda rediscovers her strength, enrolling in night classes inspired by Chris's transformation. Chris navigates a market boom, his strategies yielding record profits, solidifying his status as a top broker. The office hosts a gala in his honor, colleagues toasting his journey from hardship to triumph. He speaks humbly, crediting Christopher and Linda, his voice trembling with gratitude. A rival firm offers him a lucrative position, tempting him with wealth beyond his current role. He declines, valuing stability and family over unchecked ambition, a choice that earns respect. Linda graduates, her diploma a symbol of their mutual growth, celebrated with a quiet dinner. Chris buys a house, a spacious home with a yard, fulfilling his promise to Christopher. They move in, the furniture arranged with care, the space a haven from their past struggles. Christopher explores the yard, his joy a mirror to Chris's own relief and pride. At work, he launches a mentorship program guiding others from adversity to success. A national award recognizes his contributions, his name now synonymous with perseverance. He donates to homeless shelters, giving back to those he once stood among. Linda opens a small business, her confidence blossoming under Chris's support. Christopher excels in sports, his father cheering from the stands, a proud spectator. Chris reflects on his path, the scars of homelessness fading into lessons of strength. He writes a memoir capturing his story to inspire others facing their own battles. The book gains attention, offers pouring in, a new chapter of influence opening. Linda and Chris renew their vows, a ceremony surrounded by friends and family. Christopher stands as ring bearer, his smile the heart of the celebration. The community honors them, a parade marking their rise from despair to prosperity. Chris speaks at the event, his words a beacon of hope for the struggling. He establishes a foundation, funding education for underprivileged children. With his family by his side, Chris looks to a future built on love and legacy. Chris stands on the balcony of their new home, the morning sun casting a warm glow, reflecting on the extraordinary path that led him here. He watches Christopher play in the yard, the boys' laughter a melody of triumph over their once desperate nights. Linda joins him, her hand in his, their renewed bond a testament to the resilience that carried them through. He recalls the train station, the hunger, the rejections, each memory a stepping stone to this moment of peace. At work, his foundation thrives, scholarships awarded to children from backgrounds like his own, a legacy taking shape. A national conference invites him to speak, his story resonating with thousands, inspiring hope across the country. He delivers a moving speech, his voice steady, crediting his family and the struggles that forged his strength. The audience rises in a standing ovation, tears in their eyes, moved by the power of his journey. Back home, Christopher asks about their past, and Chris shares the story, teaching him the value of perseverance. Linda frames his first paycheck, a memento of their rise, hung proudly on the living room wall. Chris mentors a young entrepreneur, passing on the wisdom that transformed his life. The family hosts a reunion, relatives marveling at their journey from hardship to harmony. He plants a tree in the yard, a symbol of growth and roots for future generations. Christopher graduates elementary school, his diploma a milestone celebrated with love. Chris receives a Lifetime Achievement Award, his name etched in financial history. He donates a portion of his wealth, funding shelters and education, giving back with gratitude. Linda expands her business, her success a parallel to Chris's, their partnership flourishing. Christopher dreams of becoming a doctor, inspired by his father's early scanners. Chris writes a second book, A Guide to Overcoming Adversity, its pages filled with hope. The book tour takes him nationwide, his message touching lives far beyond San Francisco. He meets fans who credit him with changing their paths, a humbling reward for his efforts. Linda and Christopher surprise him with a plaque honoring his dedication to family. He reflects on Vice Grip Garage, wishing Derek could see the truck he's now restoring. The restored truck rolls into the driveway, a symbol of renewal tied to his inspiration. The family takes a road trip, the truck's engine purring, a celebration of their journey. Chris teaches Christopher to drive, their bond deepening with each lesson. They visit the old station, a pilgrimage to honor their past, now a place of strength. He leaves a donation there, ensuring others find help as he once needed. The community recognizes him as a local hero, their support a warm embrace. Chris and Linda plan a charity event, uniting their community in purpose. The event raises funds, smiles lighting faces, a reflection of their shared success. Christopher wins a science fair, his project on medical innovation echoing Chris's early dreams. Chris pens a thank you note to his supporters, his gratitude sincere and deep. He records a video message, sharing his story one last time with the world. The family gathers for a portrait, their smiles capturing a life rebuilt from ashes. Chris looks to the horizon, his legacy secure, his heart full of love. He turns to the camera, his voice warm with emotion, ready to close this chapter. Thank you all so much for joining me on this incredible journey. Your support has meant the world to me, and I'm deeply grateful for every one of you watching.